Hello, loves. Hello, hello. Hills here from the Blue Flame. How are we doing? Ooh, this energy, it's amazing and it's disorientating and it's all of the things. It is all of the things all at once. And we have some really beautiful energies that can sometimes be challenging coming through for us now. We have been in this retrograde season for a while, right? And tomorrow, the 26th of November, Mercury is shifting retrograde. Then on the 6th of December, we have Mars shifting retrograde, both of them very much in their shadows. Mercury on the eve of retrograde as I'm recording this on the 25th of November. We have a Sagittarius New Moon that is very close to the great attractor coming up on the 1st of December and in square to the now direct Saturn in Pisces. This current, as we move through this ending period of November and through the entirety of the month of December, is really inviting us to come into contact with the integral internals. What I mean by this is those foundations of our being, of our spiritual practice, of our learning, of our explorations. Sagittarius loves to go and explore, and the sun is in Sagittarius now, loves to go and explore, to seek for higher and higher and higher wisdoms, to find the deeper truths, to learn more, to learn and seek, to strive, to adventure. And some of this energy is being directed internally. So if you have a lot of Sagittarius in your chart, you probably tend to be more freedom loving, more concerned with what is the highest truth you can find in any moment. What can you learn? What can you experience? Sagittarius loves experiential practices even. Now, with Mercury shifting retrograde in the sign of Sagittarius, and we're going to get to some more of this very shortly here, and Mars moving retrograde starting on the 6th of December through the early degrees of Leo, again, that fiery sign. So we're getting to play with these two fire signs, Leo and Sagittarius. And then into Cancer, where we really explore our sense of belonging, who we are inside and where we belong to ourselves and to the divine. Our need to prove oneself can be really loud in this Cancer Leo matrix. With the North Node also in the early degrees of Aries, we can really start to feel Mars is playing as it shifts retrograde with that energy of the North Node, just as the North Node is getting ready to shift itself into Pisces, which is going to happen in January. So let's look at some dates. This update is going to be a little bit different because we have so much happening all at once. Rather than honing deeply into the new moon, which is happening on the 1st of December at 6:52 a.m. GMT, at 9 degrees of Sagittarius, like I said, square to Saturn and basically conjunct the great attractor. Rather than really dive into that energy, what we're going to do is kind of play with all of the energies that are moving through this current. So we're really going to dive into some of the key dates, the key moments of exploration of Mercury's retrograde, of Mars's retrograde, and some other things too. Okay. Let's start with Mercury. Like I said, Mercury is going to shift direct on the 26th of November. This is going to happen at 22 degrees of Sagittarius, right in between the great attractor and the galactic center. Then on the 15th of December, at 6 degrees of Sagittarius, Mercury will turn around again. So this is when the peak energies of the Mercury retrograde are active. Okay, so 26th of November is that deep leaning in. The 15th of December is that re-emerging, coming back around, retracing of steps. So we retrace the steps backwards and we retrace the steps forwards, right? The shadow of this Mercury retrograde has been the 7th of November is when it entered shadow of retrograde. And then on the 3rd of January, as we move into 2025, we find the shadow merging. We are no longer in that retrograde shadow. The 6th of December. This is a date. Now, write this date down because there is a lot happening between the 6th and 7th of December. The 6th of December is the day when, at 14 degrees of Sagittarius, the Sun and Mercury retrograde make their exact conjunction, and this is happening on top of the great attractor. You may hear the puppies outside, the dogs outside have a lot to say about this. So there is big, potent energy already on this day, right? We have Mercury retrograde meeting with the Sun in Sagittarius, expanding our internal awareness to how we outwardly express ourselves. Expanding our internal awareness to how we outwardly express ourselves. And inviting us to come into a higher expression of this. A higher expression of this. 3 days earlier, on the 3rd of December, Mercury makes its exact opposition to the retrograde Jupiter in Pisces, in Gemini rather. So we have Jupiter in Gemini moving backwards, opposing Mercury in Sagittarius, also moving backwards. And this is happening while Mercury is pretty tightly conjunct the great attractor still at 16 degrees. Mercury in sign of rulership for Jupiter. Jupiter in sign of rulership for Mercury, right? So these two poles connecting to the energy of which they are the ruler. Jupiter expanding even more of our access, gifting us with greater awareness of our internal machinations, our internal communications. This is what Jupiter's been doing this entire retrograde through Gemini. And with Mercury across the way in the sign that Jupiter rules, Sagittarius, we can feel, oh, now I can access those higher wisdoms within me, those things that I learned that I forgot, and I can get to them and bring them to the surface as just a couple of days later, the sun comes into this conjunction. And when the sun and Mercury meet with the great attractor on December 6th, it will not be an exact opposition to Jupiter, but it will be a tight one. So all of this energy is brewing in our systems to really get us in to the foundations of how we express ourselves. Where are these wounds? What are these things? And during this time, of course, we also have a lovely energy in trine with Chiron in Aries. So there's that wound and healer, teacher energy. Really, really, really lovely throughout all of this. Basically throughout the entire first half of December, end of November. So I said, mark your calendar for December 6th there and 7th. There is more. December 6th is also the day that Mars in Leo shifts retrograde. Mars is going to shift retrograde on the 6th of December at 6 degrees of Leo. So I'm going to invite you to remember something really quickly here, okay? The location that Mercury is retrograding back to in Sagittarius is 6 degrees of Sagittarius. So this means that the point that Mercury is going back to also happens to be the point in trine to where Mars is shifting forward or shifting backwards, I'm sorry. So we have this 6 degrees of these fire signs very activated. Now, we have also had during the Scorpio new moon, the North Node at that 6 degree Aries point. So we have been playing around with this fire point, if you will. Mars will shift direct again the 24th of February, 2025. So this is going to be a long journey for us. And it's going to happen at 17 degrees of Cancer. So anything that you have between 6 degrees of Leo and 17 degrees of Cancer, all of this is being activated very mightily by Mars, this Mars transit. And Mars, unlike the other planets, does not go retrograde very often. So when we experience a Mars retrograde, it can be more impactful. That Mars also represents that sense of self, that drive and purpose, makes it even more so, right? The shadow period of Mars's retrograde began on the 5th of October and will run all the way until the 3rd of May, 2025. Like I said, this is a long experience for us. So on the 6th of December, on the 6th of December, Mercury, opposite Jupiter, meets in conjunction with the great attractor and the sun. While at 6 degrees of Leo, Mars begins its backwards journey. Backwards towards another opposition with Pluto, and we'll get there soon. Can you see why we're not just focusing on the Sagittarius new moon? This is a lot of beautiful and maybe somewhat challenging energy that we are navigating as this year comes to a close, and that we have that like December holiday season, meeting up with family and all of the things during it. There are no coincidences, are there? So, in addition to all of this energy that's happening, on the 6th of December. Then on the 7th, the 6th or 7th, depending on where you are, Neptune in Pisces is going to station direct and start moving forward again. So that dreamy energy. And Neptune has been in this long running square with the galactic center, which is exact during this time period. So we are getting to play with that dichotomy, right? That dichotomy between the shamanic, dreamy, higher self expression, transcendent energies of Pluto and Aquarius, of Neptune in Pisces, the sign of rulership. And Neptune's turning around and getting ready to start to move forward again, just as we're moving with all of this beautiful great attractor, Mercury, Sun, Jupiter, Mars energy, right? How do we work with this? I will share that the loudest piece that I have received about the energy, not just of this 6th of December, but the entire month of December, is really coming back to the self, coming back to the foundations of spiritual practice, really anchoring yourself into things that maybe you felt like you had outgrown, styles of meditation, journaling practices, working with the lower chakras in particular, really getting into your root and sacral and solar plexus. These 3 chakras in particular are really, really powerful places to journey during this time. Feeling that safety and security of the root chakra, feeling that creative potential of the sacral, and that empowerment of the solar plexus. And you can play around, if it feels true, with bringing awareness to the heart and then flow down. And then once you have a really strong, secure connection to your root, when it feels stable, start to call the energy up. Start to call the energy up. A lot of times in our members portal, we're called to work with the deeper chambers of the heart. We're called to work with the subtle realms where the various chakras meet, like the areas where the sacral and the throat connect, where the root and the sacral and the throat and the third eye all meet, these subtle realms. And then during our Scorpio new moon, we were really invited to go into that first chamber. Part of this is that there are a lot of souls that are starting to remember. We can sometimes call this wake up. There are a lot of souls on the planet right now that are starting to remember who they are. And for those of us who have been on spiritual journey, walking that path of divine will, Christ consciousness, timeline shifting, exploring their depths, it's called shadow work, all of these things, looking towards ourself for divine union and in our relationships around us. Having a strong foundation will help us when we're coming into the ask, which is going to be very powerful for many of us, to start holding space and teaching others what their experience, helping them to understand. This is what I mean by teaching, helping them to see what's happening and helping them to understand that there maybe they're not going crazy, right? When we start to hear and feel things more fully, more wholly, we can become fearful. This is part of the navigation of the earthly incarnation, of course. And so coming into our foundations, remembering ourselves and to replenish ourselves so that we have the capacity, so that we have the reserve to help those around us. This is a big part of this energy. So think back, if you will, feel back, maybe even better, to a practice that was so fundamental to you in your early awakenings, when you first started to remember who you were. This may be something that was when you were a young child. It may be something that was a couple of years ago. It could be a journaling exercise. One that I'm feeling very loudly is returning to a morning journaling practice. Morning journaling practice, waking up and grabbing a pen and paper and starting to write. And this is beautiful energy as Neptune is getting ready to shift direct again on the 7th of December. Let me feel. If you don't have one, I'm going to invite you to grab a pen right now and a piece of paper, because unlike most of my recent updates, I'm not going to have a chart on the members portal. I will list these dates out though. So if you don't have time to go and get pen and paper, or if you don't have access wherever you are in this moment, that's okay. If you come over, there'll be a link below to the Patreon. And when I post this video, I'll post all of these dates in there. We're going to do just a rundown for December. And it's not everything that's happening in December by any means, okay? By any means, but it is the some of the key Mercury and Mars dates for us, okay? So we've already talked about the 6th, 7th of December. This is a big one, and that's where we're focusing today's update. But I wanted to bring in a couple more. We talked about the 3rd of December as the exact opposition between Jupiter and Mercury, right? Jupiter retrograde in Gemini, Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. As Mercury shifts direct again on the 15th of December, we're going to get another one, another exact opposition. Again, this one is going to be with the great attractor. Jupiter will still be moving retrograde. Okay. Mercury now directly on top also of the great attractor. They will meet in exact opposition. This is happening on the 27th of December. This beautiful opposition is also a T-square, as they are both squaring exactly the now direct Saturn in Pisces. Foundational energy, higher heart energy, dreamer awakens energy. Okay. Mercury now direct, helping us to bring that outward expression into the foundations, bringing our foundations into our higher heart, speaking from our higher heart, expanding our access to that place. This is happening on the 27th of December. Now Mars. Now Mars. Like I said, we have this opposition between Mars and Pluto. The first one happened when both were moving direct. Mars at the 29 of Cancer, Pluto at the 29 of Capricorn, both at that anaretic completion degree, right? This happened on the 1st of November. Now, as Mars gets ready to shift backwards, and Pluto is now moving forward and in Aquarius, right? We're exploring that energy of those first maybe wobbly steps of the Lord of the Underworld in that transcendent energy of the Aquarian age. On the 1st through the 3rd of January, remember, that's when Mercury ends its shadow period also, right? The 3rd of January. From the 1st through the 3rd, as we really come into the 2025 calendar year in the Gregorian system, this opposition meets exact again. Pluto direct at 1 degree of Aquarius, Mars retrograde at 1 degree of Leo. And asking us to explore, who am I in this new energy anyways? What does it mean to live boldly in my unique expression? Mars is retrograde. Internal question. What does it mean for me? How does it look to me to boldly, courageously step into my uniqueness, into my unique wholeness, into my unique expression? Which is, of course, what Pluto and Aquarius is all about. One of the things, anyways. It is not easy because we have not had the foundations in our society to be fully alive and allowed in our unique expression. Most of us have come up in environments where we are asked to conform to the societal norms of our families, of our towns, cities, states, countries, not to bring our whole unique, shining, radiant light into those places, but to take the standardized test, learn what it's like, become part of the crowd, part of the machine. This is what we're emerging out of. And so these early months, years even, of Pluto and Aquarius is going to be kind of like learning to ride a bike. Kind of like learning to ride a bike. There's going to be some skinned knees. Maybe you are just taking the training wheels off and you're falling down or you're running into walls. You're learning how to steer, right? For some of us, we have been living our unique radiance. Some of us got to come up in environments where that was fostered. And those will be teachers. Those are the teachers. Those are the beings who have come in. Sometimes we call them indigos, right? To show the way of this. So as our Gregorian calendar shifts into the new year, we get to play with that energy, right? With Mars retrograde at 1 of Leo and Pluto direct at 1 of Aquarius. Some of the things that are coming down the pipe are further out. We have another Mars-Pluto opposition that's going to happen with both of them direct at the 3 degree of their signs, Aquarius and Leo, between April 26th and April 27th. of 2025. So like I said, this is a long running current that we're in. I mean, Pluto's going to be in Aquarius for 20 years. This is a long running current. During that time, we have Neptune shifting signs. We have the nodes shifting signs. We have Saturn shifting signs. 2025, also the year of the snake in Chinese astrology and lunar astrology, is about transformation, transition, the shedding of that which is no longer our skin, peeling back the layers, the masks, the buildup that has accumulated over the centuries. And I mean centuries. The nodes themselves will be shifting on the 11th of January with a wobble effect through the 30th of January. Remember, we have the mean node and the true node. So we have one of these nodes, the true, shifting from Aries, North Node, to Pisces on the 11th of January. However, there will be a wobble effect all the way through the end of that month where the mean node will still be in Aries. And this really gives us a beautiful opportunity to play with that birthing into the end, ending into the birth energy of Pisces and Aries. To get our footing, if you will, for what that Piscean North Node has to offer. During the entirety of that wobble, Mars will be in trine to the North Node. Mars is already in trine to the North Node. So basically through most of Mars's retrograde, there's this like amazing energy of kind of bouncing around a trine with the North Node as it's getting ready to shift. On the 9th of February, this is one more date for us before we close. On the 9th of February, Mercury, now direct, comes into contact with the sun once again, here in Aquarius at the 20 degree. Now, before that happens, on the 24th of January, the sun will cross over Pluto at 2 degrees of Aquarius. And then on the 29th, on New Year's Eve-ish, right? Right in there, just before we get that beautiful Pluto-Mars yumminess, Mercury is going to cross over top of Pluto. What can we gift ourselves during these 12 days of Christmas, that time between the December solstice and the 3rd of January? These dark nights that lead to the new. Now, I'll remind everyone that January 1st, December 31st, January 1st is also when Sirius makes its apex, when it rises to its highest point in our night sky. We celebrate the dawning of a new year. What can we bring forward into that new? What can we bring forward into that new as the sun crosses over into the Capricornian realms? What foundations can we build? And then as we move into January, what can we build? And then come into the new. So we have a gift to unwrap. We have a gift to unwrap. And it's within our hearts. It's within our beings. And it feels to me, anyways, that the reason that we are gifted this Mercury, that we are getting to experience this Mercury retrograde and Mars retrograde in union like this, is to help us get in there and find that gift that maybe was overlooked or buried too far under the tree or too deep in the stocking. Hidden, it slid under the couch. It was so deep within us, we didn't even know it was there. It was hidden behind wounds and scar tissue. And now we're ready to start to peel back the layers so that we can get in there once again. You may find that you're being asked to hermit a little bit during this month of December. If that is true and that is something that is possible for you, depending on your lifestyle, whether you have kids or family obligations, work obligations, even if you feel that need to hermit and your lifestyle, the structure of your life is not, young kids and whatnot, can you squirrel away 5 to 10 minutes a day to give to yourself during this time? I will be facilitating our new moon circle, and we'll dive deeper into the Sagittarius new moon at that point. On the 1st of December, I'll have more information in the portal about that. And I'm going to have some special announcements for us in the members portal during that time as well. This, as I said, is a beautiful, beautiful current of energy. Whether or not it is challenging and beautiful is a matter of perception. We can look at a challenging event and just get lost in how challenging it is, or we can look at a challenging event and be in love through it. And I don't mean that as a bypass. I don't mean that we don't feel the event, the circumstance, the situation, the emotions. What I mean is that we can still be in love while we feel it all, while we experience it all, while we grieve. And what is grief anyways, but a massive expression of love? If you don't love something, you're not going to grieve it, are you? We feel grief because we feel the loss profoundly, because we love. And so we can allow that love to be the flame within us that helps us center through the grief and rise up once again. And with that, I hope that this update has helped you, has served, and I look forward to hearing in the comments or over in the Patreon, in the members portal, anything that you have moving through during this time. And as always, in the always, from, through, and beyond the all dimensions. So much and many loves to you. Thank you.